Welcome to the Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love, one founded on faith, family, freedom, and fun. I'm your host, Julie Ross, creator of the award-winning homeschool curriculum, A Gentle Feast, and a certified Christian life coach. For more information on today's episode and to access my free gift for you, check out thefeastlife.me. Charlotte Mason once said, "Life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time." So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. Girl, grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You are welcome at this table. Homeschooling touches every part of our hearts, so of course it stirs up big feelings. In today's episode, I'm going to help you reframe emotions as messengers, not problems to fix, and show you how you can generate life-giving emotions on purpose. Like a power plant that doesn't have energy, it creates it. You'll learn simple, repeatable practices to process fear, shift into courage, and build a gratitude-soaked mindset that fuels a peaceful, joyful homeschool. So let's dive in. Hello, welcome back. In this session, we're going to be talking about generating empowering emotions. Homeschooling brings up all the emotions, right? Because we are constantly in relationships with our children and in our family and working through conflict and struggles and growth, because this is education. That's a learning process. We're always growing and stretching, and it's uncomfortable. And so, of course, it's going to bring up those emotions. And to see that as something that's not to be feared, something that's not a problem within you that needs to be fixed, but something that is part of life, and learn how to process those emotions in a healthy way. So the first step is giving ourselves the grace to allow ourselves to feel those negative emotions and admit that they're actually there. And then the second step is learn how to generate positive emotions. The more positive emotions that we feel, the more positive emotions that we're going to create. And I talked to you all about how we have the ability to create those emotions within ourselves. It doesn't need to be dependent on our circumstances or what the other people in our lives are doing. We have the power within ourselves to create the feelings that we want to feel based on the thoughts that we're thinking, the meaning, the stories that we're creating about what is happening in our own life. Just power plant doesn't have energy, it generates energy. We are able to generate so many powerful emotions. And this was a huge light bulb for me. And when I've started practicing some of the things that I'm going to teach you today, this has truly transformed me, because the more I generated these positive feelings, like I said, the more positive feelings I had. Does that mean I never deal with negative emotions? No, again, that's not a realistic goal, right? Life is all of the feelings, right? But I don't feel those feelings as much, that we're so consuming. And I felt like we're so tied to my identity and that we're keeping me stuck. When we're stuck in overwhelm and doubt and fear and depression, and we don't know that there's a way out of that, it just creates more hopelessness and discouragement and doubt and fear and overwhelm. But as we little by little start to generate some of these other more empowering emotions within ourselves, it teaches our brain, like, it's not so scary to go out of what we're used to feeling all the time. It's not so scary to have to process these feelings. I can start to see the world different, and we can start to change. Our brains, again, remember, like comfort, they don't want to change. They want to keep us stuck in the feelings that we've always felt, because those feelings feel comfortable. So it's just a slow process of starting to change our thoughts, which are going to change our emotions. Our bodies and our brains get used to those, and then they start to create more, and we're able to switch from that emotional childhood, like I was talking about, to that emotional adulthood. It's a journey and a process for sure. So the first step is realizing and embracing your new identity, that this is who you really are and that this is possible for you. Then once we've changed our thinking around ourselves, our thoughts, then we can start to generate some of these new feelings. And so today we're going to focus on that emotional piece. So you have your thoughts about this is who I am, right? You start to ask yourself, what would a fun mom do in this moment? Or how would a patient mom react right now? And you start to try to rewire the neurocircuitry in your brain. It's so amazing that we get to do that, right? And so then we can also focus on generating some of these more empowering emotions and things that we want to feel. Okay, so what emotions came up for you? For some of you, you might be filled right now with maybe fear or doubt or overwhelm, discouragement, even. I don't even know if any of this is possible. This all feels like too much. And so, what we want to do is we want to notice those negative emotions and we want to ask ourselves, how do I want to feel instead? So, as you read through your goals, if you were feeling some of those negative feelings, how do you want to feel instead? Or maybe you were feeling more positive. How do you want to feel about your goals? I know for some of you, you might want to feel motivated, confident, enthusiastic, believing in yourself. Now, just because you feel those negative emotions, again, that doesn't mean something's wrong with your goals. It doesn't mean that something is bad, right? Our emotions are not problems to be fixed. I'm going to keep saying that and saying that because I need to hear that myself. Okay, our emotions are messengers and they are here to teach us. So, oftentimes when we make goals, one of the emotions that will come up is fear. And because we feel afraid, our brains, remember, like to keep us safe. We often think, oh, maybe this goal is just too unrealistic. Maybe this is too out there. Maybe I should like make the goal something that's a little more attainable. This feels too scary. And I want you to know that if your goals, or maybe just one of your goals, that's like a personal goal or something like that, feels scary to you, that is a good thing. Not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it shows that you are going to take a risk. And when we take risks, we grow and expand as people, and our brain circuitry changes more than anything else. If we just stay safe and we have these little comfortable goals and we don't stretch ourselves, our brains aren't going to change. And that's what we want. We want to keep growing more and more into our true selves. So, as you're looking through your goals, if any of your goals bring up fear, I want you to know that's okay. And then we're going to learn to process through that fear and keep taking action anyway. Oftentimes, what happens is when we meet that resistance of that fear, the doubt, I don't know if I'm good enough, right? Then we try to backpedal with our goals, or we don't even take any action on them. We can become like a deer in the headlights and we're just paralyzed and we're like, we don't even do anything. But by doing some small actions and keep moving forward anyway, that's how we will learn to grow and stretch and eventually get to the goal that we have set for ourselves. I don't know if you've heard the quote, that courage is not the absence of fear, but of taking action despite the fear. So we want to generate within ourselves the emotion of courage. So even when we are faced with difficulties, when we are faced with challenges, we can say, it's okay that I'm feeling scared. That's normal. Remember, we talked about like the hero's journey. Any book or movie that you read, there are moments when the hero wants to quit and wants to give up and doubts themselves and doesn't think it's possible. And they are immensely afraid. But the hero keeps taking action anyway. And that's how they get to be the hero, right, of the story. And amazing things happen. And the same with you. When you take action, even when you're terrified, so many amazing things can happen. And that's why it's so important to not let these negative emotions make us freeze or stop us from taking the action that God is calling us to do. When I first graduated from my life coach training, I decided I wanted to do a coaching class. And so I was going to offer my first class at the beginning of the year, like a goal setting class. And I was immensely upset by it. But at first, I didn't even realize that I was terrified. So I had set my goal. Okay, I'm going to launch and start talking about this class on this date. And the week leading up to that, I'd wake up every morning and I was so emotional. I even was teary and crying. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? And the question I used to ask myself was, oh my goodness, I'm having all these negative feelings. What's wrong with me? Not a very empowering question. Just remove that one from your vocabulary. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with me, right? Because emotions aren't problems to be fixed. Of course, I'm doing something that I've never done before. I am worried. I have lots of all these what ifs going on in my head. Of course it makes sense that I'm emotional. I wonder what these feelings are trying to tell me. And it took me a couple of days at first to figure out what was going on because at first I interpreted the tears as sadness. And I'm like, why am I sad? Like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I'm doing something that like I really feel like God's calling me to do and I want to do. And I really feel like I'm going to be able to help people. And that's really exciting. Like, I'm not sad about it. And then after a couple of days of processing it, journaling it, letting myself sit in the feelings and not trying to push them away, I realized that, oh, I'm actually scared. I'm very, very afraid putting myself out there, trying something new. I had all these what ifs, like, what if nobody signs up? Or what if people are like, who does Julie think she is? And all these things in my head. And it was causing me to be scared. And so the tears were fear, not sadness. Oftentimes, when we're afraid, we do cry. When you're a little kid, I'm sure there were things that you cried over when you were afraid. And so I was just able, once I recognized the feeling, and if you're like me and you've spent lots of years bottling up your emotions and denying them and minimizing them and pretending like they didn't actually exist, it can be really hard sometimes to identify how you are actually feeling. And so it's still a process for me sometimes to figure out what the emotions really are. Once I was able to identify that, then I was able to work towards generating how I wanted to feel about that goal. I didn't want to be afraid about it. I didn't want to be stuck in doubt because I knew that this was what God was calling me to do and I wanted to take action on it. So, same thing with your goals. If you have a goal that is making you kind of afraid, that's good. Okay. But how do we generate how we want to feel? So, how did I want to feel about the class I was offering? I wanted to feel motivated, right? I wanted to feel confident. I wanted to feel determined. This was the path I was supposed to be on. This is what I was going to do. I want to feel energized, right? And I knew that I had the power within me to create those feelings by the thoughts that I was thinking. So, me thinking about all the what ifs that could go wrong, that didn't make me feel motivated, encouraged, empowered, right? That made me feel scared. I didn't want to feel that. So, I had to stop thinking about the what ifs and I had to change what I was focusing on and what I was thinking about. And so I started thinking about all the people I could. I started thinking about how my life coach has helped me so much, and I get to be that for somebody else. And thinking of all the wonderful things that could happen, because those what ifs are exactly equal probabilities, right, to the things that we're scared about. I got excited. I got motivated. I got encouraged. I got energized. And the same thing can happen with you in your goals, in your homeschool, in your life, and in your family. To change the thoughts from the fears and the doubts on what you're focusing on to the things that could happen. It could all work out, right? It could be this amazing, incredible year, and you get to do all these things, and your kids learn these things, and you get to have these amazing moments. That could also happen. So focus on those things. Once I was able to kind of work through the fears, then I started taking action. And once we take action towards our goals, amazing things happen. It's this compounding effect. We build confidence within ourselves. Oh, I just told everybody I'm offering this course and I didn't die. Okay. Oh, I woke up 30 minutes early and I had my personal quiet time and my kids all survived. Yes. And we build this confidence to keep trying more and more new things because then it stretches our brain and creates those new neural pathways that we want. So I want you to think about your goals. How do you want to feel about them? And how can you go about creating that within yourself? I remember hearing once that our bodies don't know the difference between being nervous or scared and being excited. So if you think about it, when you're really nervous about something, you might get like butterflies in your stomach. My hands get all sweaty. I get like jittery. That same thing happens when I'm excited. When I'm excited about this amazing thing is going to happen tomorrow, I get butterflies in my stomach and I get jittery and my hands start sweating. So your body is having the same physiological response. It's what's going on up here that is making the difference. And the person I was reading about was Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, who's won, I don't even know, a ton of gold medals at this point, and how he would just keep telling himself over and over again before a match, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And visualizing all the wonderful things that were going to happen and him winning and all these, his getting this stroke and him beating this time and just thinking of all the good possibilities that would make him feel excited. I jokingly, my kids joke about it now because I've told them this so many times. They're like, I'm so nervous about blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what are you excited about it? What good things can happen? They're like, yeah, I know. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. And I've told myself that before. I've given talks, before I've done things that I've never done before. And I've like really worried, feeling scared, feeling nervous. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I keep saying out loud all the things I'm excited about. So, same thing with your goal. If it's something that is stretching you, what can make you excited about that? That's also a great way to feel motivated in the morning. I know a lot of you are like, I want to feel more motivated about homeschooling. I can wake up and I could think about all the things that went wrong yesterday in our homeschool. And that just makes me want to pull the covers back over my head. Or I could think about the good things that could happen this day. Oh, today we're going to do da 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 da. 5 things. 5 things that could possibly happen that are going to be great today. Now I'm motivated, right? Now I want to get out of bed. So it's that possibility within ourselves to create that feeling of motivation. We can also create the feeling of awe and wonder. That is one of my favorite emotions to create within ourselves, is this feeling of curiosity. Like a little kid on Christmas, and you're so curious and you're so excited about what your presents are going to be. We have that opportunity to be curious about that all the time. Think of your kids when you're out in nature and they find this like really cool bug and they can't wait to tell you about it, right? Or they read something in a book and it's so interesting and they want to come and they tell you about, Mom, I can't believe what I just read. We should still have that as adults for our whole life. And as I started to create that emotion of awe and wonder in myself, guess what? That's right. I found more things in my life to have awe and wonder about. Before I started doing a Charlotte Mason education, I never noticed nearly anything that was going on, right? I was just running on all about doing my thing. And now it's like I will literally pull over on the side of the road so we can all get out of the car and look at these like cool plants. Or like taking pictures of birds on my vacation, right? And things that I didn't even notice, right? The more we notice them, and that's what I love that Charlotte Mason inspired that in our children, then the more excited we are about the next thing and the next thing and all the amazing things that God puts in. And so we can approach each day with, wow, I wonder what amazing things are going to happen today. Or, oh, wow, that is so cool that you found that earthworm on the trail. That is so neat. I wonder where it came from. I wonder where it's going. Oh my goodness, look at its skin. Why are earthworms so slimy? I wonder why God made them like that. Just start being like a kid again and asking those questions out loud. And as you are filled with more awe and wonder, you know what happens? So are your kids. Our kids are naturally curious. Our kids are naturally born this way. We train it out of them. Unfortunately, this world trains it out of them. And so we want to bring that back into them. And as they get more curious and they are filled with more wonder, they're going to find more things to be curious about in their school day and wonder about. And that's going to lead them to be these lifelong learners and critical thinkers that we all want for our kids, right? But we also have to see that within ourselves first. And just throughout your day, just start saying out loud, I wonder why this is like that. I wonder why God wrote that in this passage. I wonder why the author made the character do that. Interesting. You don't have to answer the question. You're just thinking out loud, right? And as you create more of those feelings of awe and wonder in yourself, truly, truly, it will really transform you as a person, but it'll also transform your children as well. So look at your goals. And for each goal, I want you to think about how you want to feel about that goal. And if you're not already feeling that way, how can you generate that emotion? So I would need to focus on this instead. So, like I said, if you're feeling maybe overwhelmed or discouraged about a certain goal, but instead you want to feel confident and motivated and excited, what do I need to think about instead? What do I need to focus on instead? It might be that when you're thinking about one of these goals, maybe it brings up some sadness, right? Or some shame, or like, that I tried that last year, but that didn't work. So you could focus on that, and that's just going to make you feel more shame and more sadness, right? Or you could focus on something else. So how else do you want to feel about this goal? I want to feel that, again, maybe it's the confidence or the courage or the excitement or the joy even. And I love that we can create the feelings of happiness and joy within ourselves as well. And again, it all comes down to our focus. Our brains naturally focus on all the things that are going wrong. It's a survival instinct, thank goodness, right? So we have to purposely train our brains instead of focusing on the things that are going wrong, on the things that are going well. One way we can do that is by starting to write down the things that we are grateful for every day. I told you about the habit at the end of the school day, writing down our wins. I write down 5 things I'm grateful for in the day at the end of the day now. You might need to, if you are working on building this positive feeling and happiness and joy, and you're not used to finding things to be grateful for, you might need to set the timer on your phone for 30 minutes. I used to do this at first. I set a timer on my phone for every 30 minutes. And then when it would go off, I would make myself say something that I was grateful for that happened in the last 30 minutes. This is hard work. Just like you don't go into the gym and lift up the 100-pound dumbbell on the first day, or well, ever, but if you want to get to the point where you can lift the 100-pound dumbbell, you're not going to do it on the first day. You're going to have to start off with the 10, and you're going to work and work and work. And it's the same thing with training our brains to find and generate these powerful, positive emotions within ourselves. So just like you would go on, you'd follow like a running plan if you wanted to run like a marathon. Same thing. In order to generate these positive emotions, you need to have a plan, because our brains will just naturally not do this. It's hard. They don't like it. Okay. And it seems very counterintuitive, because you're like, brain, we do want to feel better here. Why are you not wanting to grow and stretch in this area? But again, it's trying to keep us safe and comfortable. So we need to have a plan. So whatever your plan is, if you really need help with this, the plan might be every 30 minutes for the next week. Or it might be, I'm going to do this every day at the end of the school day. Or I'm going to do it right before I go to bed. I'm going to put my journal on my pillow every night so that when I go to bed, I can't fall asleep until I write down the 5 things that I'm grateful for. I also keep a journal right next to my coffee pot. So when my coffee is brewing in the morning, I write down my goals and I write down the things that I'm grateful for, the things that I'm excited about for the coming day. So think through your kind of schedule of your day and when that might fit in for you. But I want you to have a gratitude plan, whatever it may be, because I remember at first like hearing about gratitude, gosh, it was probably like 15 years ago. And I'm like, that is so dumb. Like, me writing down like 10 things I'm grateful for every day is not going to change me, people. This is way too simplistic and easy. And I wanted like a more complex thing that was going to turn my life around. So this is not the be all end all. This is just one of the tools that is going to help you start to change your neurocircuitry, start to change you as you start to create more and more positive emotions in any moment. And this is the magic of learning to be an emotional adult. It does not matter what is happening around me, what that person did, what news I just received, anything. I can always find something to be grateful for. Another visual practice I used to have to myself is stop and give me 20. When I found myself starting to complain about all the things that were wrong, or I was talking to a friend and I'm starting to complain, or I'm talking to my kids, I'm starting to complain about you didn't do this and you didn't do that, I had to learn to stop myself. And I would go, Julie, stop and give me 20. And I would try to think of 20 things just within my sight, within this exact moment, that I am grateful for. I am so grateful right now. I have internet and I can record this video for you. I am so grateful right now that I have lights in my house that work. I am so grateful for my house that has room for a home office in it. Immediately after finding 20 things, they don't have to be huge things, right? I'm so grateful that I have clean water. I didn't have to walk 2 miles to get to this morning, people. Do you realize how much of the world has to do that? Wow. I have water. Like, I'm not doing this as a way to minimize the negative emotions in my life and pretend, oh, I'm not really upset about that thing. I'm just going to focus on all these happy things. Okay. We still need to process on the negative emotions and not bottle them or buffer them in our lives. But at the same time, we can change how we're feeling by what we are focusing on. I don't really want to keep feeling upset right now in this moment. So I'm not going to focus on all the things that just went wrong today. And instead, I'm going to focus right now in this moment while I'm in my kitchen cooking lunch and you guys are screaming and then this thing spilled and the cable guy's at the front door and I'm feeling very overwhelmed. And I really want to complain right now. I'm going to choose, again, part of the emotional adulthood is choosing our response and not reacting. I'm going to choose to focus on the things I'm grateful for right now. And in that 1 minute it takes to do that, it completely changes your emotional state. Again, doesn't mean that there might be negative emotions that you need to deal with at some other time, but it changes it then. And as we keep doing that, as we keep building that mental muscle, it becomes easier and easier, and our lives are full of more and more positive emotions. And as we're full of more happiness and joy and contentment and gratitude and thanksgiving and awe and wonder and excitement and courage and motivation, all these amazing positive emotions, as our lives become more and more full of those, we're able to overflow to our families. Those are the emotions that are coming out on autopilot instead of the autopilot triggered, complaining, discouraged, upset, sad, angry, things that will tend to come out if we're not living into our true selves here. Again, it's part of our focus here in scripture. It's think about these things that are lovely, good, pure. We can choose the things that we want to think about in any moment. It doesn't mean that our emotions are bad. Again, we don't want to label that and put that guilt on ourselves, because that does not ever make us feel better. I shouldn't be feeling this way. Never feels good. But we can still recognize the feeling, recognize the emotion, recognize I'm a human having a human experience. I'm not a robot, and go, but I do want to create more positive emotions in my life. I do want to purposely make that choice. I do want to generate these feelings. I do want my cup to be overflowing with what is good, what is pure, what is lovely, what is beautiful, what is noble, right? And the way that we do that is by learning to become that power plant, learning to generate those feelings within ourselves by the things that we are focusing on. And so having a gratitude plan will help with that. You could write it on the back of a receipt. It's just something powerful about getting out of your own head and actually putting it on paper that is super meaningful. So however, in the moment that you need to do that. And then sometimes I can't do it, right? Where I'm in the middle of doing 55 other things and everything's falling apart, or I'm in the car and I'm stuck in traffic. Like, I can still think through the things that I am grateful for. I like writing them down. Like I said, I believe there's something really powerful about getting out of your head and putting it on paper, but it's also really cool to look back on. Oh yeah, last month I was really grateful about XYZ. Isn't that really cool? Because now that has changed into this, and wow, that was just the start of it. Back then I was so grateful for it. That's so cool. Like, you just see God's work in your life when you're writing these things down. And I can go back and read my journals like 5 years ago and the things that I was grateful for. And I'm like, wow, that's just so amazing. God has done so much in my life, and it's so encouraging to go back and see those things. So writing them down, I do feel it's helpful. So it's something that will start to run on autopilot, and that generating these positive emotions won't be so difficult. It will be something that your brain can start to naturally do. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful week.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Feast Life. Let's dive in with some key takeaways. Number 1, emotions are data, not defects. Fear, doubt, or discouragement doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. Notice, name, and learn from them. Number 2, you can generate how you want to feel. Your thoughts create your feelings. Change the story you're telling about yourself, and you'll change the emotions you experience. Number 3, fear is not a stop sign. If a goal feels scary, that often means it's growth shaped. Courage is taking action even with fear present. Number 4, focus trains your brain. Your brain defaults to what's wrong. A deliberate gratitude plan rewires your brain to see what's good, and that builds motivation, joy, and contentment. Number 5, wonder wakes up learning. When you model awe and curiosity, I wonder why. Your kids will mirror it, and that will fuel lifelong learning and richer conversations. Okay, here are some practices to apply. When your nerves show up, ask yourself, what would a patient, peaceful mom do right now? Act that way for 30, 60-ish seconds and let your brain lead your biology. Develop a gratitude plan. Choose a rhythm throughout your day where you can write down 5 things that you're grateful for. Keep it simple, and that way you'll be able to keep it consistent. And pick one goal for this week. Decide your emotion on purpose, whether that's motivated, peaceful, playful, your choice. Write the thoughts that are going to deliberately create that emotion. And if this episode has encouraged you, can you send it to a homeschool friend who needs a reminder that she can create a calm and joyful homeschool right in the middle of real life? And if you loved it, it would mean so much if you would leave a quick rating or review so that other moms can find the Feast Life. Thanks again for your support. Hey there, Julie Ross here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a positive review in iTunes. This really does help people learn about the podcast. And each month I will pick a winner to receive a free gift. Don't forget to check out all the free resources we created for you at thefeastlife.me. Thank you.